This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
This is the National Football League. You got a bunch of owners who inherited teams, who are members of the Lucky Sperm Club, who are trying to negotiate in 2018 high-tech type of agents. And I just think Ted Phillips and Ryan Pace are overmatched. And I think it's bad for the whole football team. And it's a cloud that hangs over the head of the Bears and Matt Nagy and what they want to do. How many times you heard this? I'm going to Vegas. I go, how'd you do? Well, if I lost $4,000, but you go there to have fun. No, you go there to win. And that's what's wrong with people. They have the negative mentality in anything they do, including sports, before they even laid the bet down. So you got to be positive. The people that really scare me, the people that can walk in those electric carts. And they go to the slot machine and sit on them. And then they forget that they're supposed to be, crippled from the waist down. Have a bear standing with a towel in his hands, rubbing his crotch. Bear ball washer. What you got to really try to do is money manage and only bet 1 or 2 games on a Sunday. That's what we'll be doing on Bear Barroom.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
Welcome to the Mike North Advantage. My name is Aldo Gandia. I am Mike's trusty producer and sidekick. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great, Aldo. Ready to go. Ready for another week of football. We've been active on Twitter, been active on social media, Bear Barroom, all over the place. It's been absolutely outstanding. We got a lot of stuff coming up. But you know what? Last week on the show, we went 2-2. The Bear game, I should have won that one, but it's preseason football, and the third and fourth team ended up producing points. So you know what? 3-3 for the preseason, because you can win money on preseason, ladies and gentlemen. And today we got a few more picks to give everybody else, and we got another Bear game coming up, so it's all good.
Yeah, and this one is the all-important preseason game where the starters will play at least a half, and in some cases they'll have some starters going into the third quarter. So this will be a real good indication as to what these teams are going to look like. Now, they're not going to do a lot of scheming, the coaching staff is, but nonetheless, it will be talent against talent, and that should be an excellent test for all the gamblers out there.
Yeah, by the way, let me just say this. In preseason, so far, the Bears have covered every game. They've either covered the spread and lost or won straight out. Like they did last week. So they've gone 3 games, and if you took the Bears, you haven't lost. So that's something to watch out for. Here at the Kansas City Chiefs, this week Patrick Mahomes and company will play 3 quarters, while the Chicago Bears, most of them, will play a half. So we'll see what happens with that. But you're going to have starters from Kansas City, maybe because the Bears have played an extra game, playing more time than you'll have the Chicago Bears, at least from what I'm hearing.
Mike, I got to tell you, I really like this Patrick Mahomes kid. He was my favorite quarterback that came out that year. I had Mitch Trubisky, frankly, 4th on my list of quarterbacks. I had Patrick Mahomes as number 1. He's erratic in terms of, he goes all over the place, but boy, he's got escapability. He's got one of the strongest arms I've ever seen, and he just makes magic happen. So it's going to be fun to watch him play against the Bears.
Well, you know what, too, Aldo? I think the thing is that, he's got pressure on him because he's replacing Alex Smith. Mm-hmm. Alex Smith with the Redskins. Now, Alex Smith was a very good quarterback for that football team. Alex Smith was an all-pro type quarterback for that football team. Alex Smith got that team into the playoffs. Suspiciously, they didn't get it done in the playoffs. Last year especially, they didn't put the points up with Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator. So it's going to be, Nagy knows what they're doing. They know what Nagy's going to be doing. Like you said earlier, it's going to be vanilla. Mahomes has an arm that can't quit. And we're going to see 2 quarterbacks, and we're going to see where Mitchell Trubisky is because they both played last year. Of course, Mahomes did not play as much, threw for a total of about 238 yards. But seriously, I'm with you on this. We'll find out tomorrow. I'm not going to say that it's an indictment or a pat on the back for either guy if they outplay one or the other. But I'm going to be interested to see. I didn't have Mahomes for the Bears. I had Watson for the Bears, but I would have had no problem with that. And I think you're accurate where you had Mitch Trubisky in your rankings, although based on the experience factor coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a little heat from some people saying I was a Bear ball washer because I gave him a B- in that little promo that we did. But, it could have easily been a
you know
C.
what? That's okay. That's okay. Because that's what football's all about. You know what? I gave a grade of like a C-. It's not the worst grade. It's not the best grade. When I was in high school, I would have prayed for a C-. I think being in the league only your second year, being with a bunch of new players, B-, C-, it doesn't matter. What's going to happen? What we're doing, though, is winning football games, which is a good thing for a young team. And it's a good thing for the coaching staff because they want to know whether it's preseason or not. At least they're on the right track, so they think, going into week number 4 or game number 4 for them.
Well, and that fumble in the end zone by Trubisky is worth a probably a full grade down. You just can't not do that. That snap was good. It would hit him in the hands, and that was clearly on him. So I could see it going from a B- to a C- just based on that one play alone.
Well, that's what I did. I based it on that. I based it on a couple other things. But you cannot fumble the ball in the red zone. There's no way. And I would have loved to have you as a teacher in high school. I might have actually gotten to the third year because I think you like the grade on the curve. There's no way I'm going to give a guy a B, B-, or even a C+. Not that I'm questioning your grade, but my standard is if you fumble in the red zone, you're not getting anything higher than a C possibly. And I saw some other things that I thought. The interception, I don't know still. If Tariq Cohen was supposed to do a turn-in, I don't know if he was supposed to continue across the field. I don't know if he just stopped too short. But it was amazing to me to hear the Bear ball washers blame Cohen for it when nobody knew exactly what the play is, and we still haven't heard what the play is. I did see Mitch Trubisky jawing at him, which you didn't see at all last year. It was his first year. Mm-hmm. But if he's going to start jawing at players, believe me when I tell you this, folks, he's going to leave opportunities for other players to come back at him if he starts getting that way.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument right there. You see guys like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, established stars,
right,
going after players, and most fans and pundits don't have a problem with that. But when a young quarterback does it, all of a sudden you start to raise an eyebrow and you wonder, are you going to lose the team by getting on them, particularly since you haven't proven anything yourself?
Well, I would say this. I mean, did everybody go over to the bench and yell at him when he fumbled the snap?
No,
because if you want to start getting on players, and nobody really commented on this, which isn't a surprise to me, in the Bear media, for the most part, when he got on Cohen, and you could see him yelling out on the field. Maybe he was yelling at the ref for an interference call. Maybe he was yelling at Cohen for not coming through, but it was a bad look. Here's what I would say: if he did that to me, and then he fumbled that snap, I'd get in his face. Period. You're going to lose eventually your team, or eventually you're going to be exposed. He's supposed to be a team guy, a good guy. He didn't come across good in that piece of tape.
Well, yeah. Like you said, we don't know all the facts. So he is, from last account, he is still beloved by teammates. And I remember Josh Sitton last year saying that he went into the huddle and everybody was talking, and Mitch said, "Shut the F up." And Josh said, "This guy's going to be a quarterback in this league." He took control of the huddle.
Because he told everybody to shut up in the huddle?
Yeah. Well, I get
so he's going to be an all-pro because he told everybody to shut up in the huddle and pay attention. Every quarterback does that when receivers come back and say this or say that. But that being said, it was a learning experience. Let's see how he acts against Kansas City. The Chicago Bears, have been sort of successful. I think Nagy is pleased with the development. But then you got Smith, who's got a hamstring problem at 22 or 21 years of age. Mm-hmm. And you're a stud, supposed to be a stud, and you can't even get on the field. I'm not going to blame lack of training camp or anything else on this. Here's what I will say. They better be careful, because that hamstring can be a nagging problem. And you don't like to hear a 21, 22-year-old stud having hamstring problems before the season even starts.
Yeah, it's so. What do you think about this whole Kwan Smith thing? Are you? I
don't know if he can play or not.
Yeah. Right, we don't know. I mean, the tape in college looks like he's a promising player. The speed at the linebacker position is kind of this modern age linebacker that can run around blockers and so forth. but not an auspicious start to his pro career.
Well, no, and if they want to go back, I mean, look, like I said, everybody says, and I brought this up about Trubisky a couple weeks ago, people go, he moves in the pocket real good, and he throws the ball, and he's got a pretty good steam on it. That's every quarterback in the league for the most part.
Yeah.
He's got some good escapability. Well, you know what? He's going to be playing a quarterback tomorrow night that's got that same thing and can throw the ball long and everything else. What sets people up, what separates the quarterbacks is what they do on third down, like you said earlier, how they handle the huddle. It's going to be interesting to see how far the Bears have progressed. And as far as Smith is concerned, a lot of people talk about him like he's the next Butkus. But seriously, folks, he could be the next John Theory. So we don't know that. John Theory was with the Bears, and he was supposed to be the beat-all, end-all. When I saw that him play, I panned him immediately. People got on me, which wasn't anything new back then, and I was right again. So we'll see what this guy brings to the table. But right now, they got to be a little bit concerned. They have to be concerned, and it's not bad to rest him again, but he's going to be going into the season, if he plays the first game, real green down the line.
John Theory, good old number 94, huh?
Oh, he was a can't miss.
Yeah.
According to everybody in the media, can't miss. I said, he's going to be a miss, and he was.
You know what is unfortunate about John Theory? He passed away a year ago at the age of 46. I just looked that up. Wow, I was not aware of that. God bless
Well,
John
it's a
Theory.
shame, but at least he knows. At least he doesn't know we're talking about him. But it is a shame. 46 years of age, a young guy. Rashaan Salaam's gone.
Rashaan Salaam is
who was another guy that I panned because he ran out of the option at Colorado. Everybody thought I was nuts. See, here's what I want to tell everybody. When I think a Chicago Bear might not make it or might make it, believe me when I tell you this, it's from observing for 40, 50 years football. So I'm not ready to say this guy Smith, like everybody else is going to be the next Urlacher or the next Wilbur Marshall or whatever. I'm just praying to God that he makes it through the season healthy and that he can make some strides. He's sort of green, and they're going to expose him once he starts playing.
I got to tell you that Rashaan Salaam offered one of the best or funniest quotes I've ever heard. They were doing a NFL Films perspective on him. He was showing some life and a little bit of a comeback, and they were talking about. They were asking him about the hard times that he went through in the league when he first came in, and Rashaan said, "That marijuana, man, it's some serious stuff."
Well, Ricky Williams said the same thing, and they loaded Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams he carried the ball one year like 350 times. Dave Weinstein almost killed him because he carried him he gave him the ball so much. But that's an issue, marijuana, that you wonder how it's being legislated. You wonder how it's being done. It doesn't matter to me, but I mean, it's legal in Colorado. So if you're a Denver Bronco and you're at home, or if you have a medical marijuana thing, even in Chicago, the marijuana situation is a very unique situation, because I knew guys that smoked marijuana that could perform better when they smoked it than when they didn't smoke it. But they'll all use the excuse if they're it helps with injuries, with everything else. No, you just want to get a buzz and have a hamburger. That's what you really want to do.
That's right. My ex-wife told me that I did not perform better on marijuana.
Well, that's why she's the ex-wife. Did she smoke marijuana?
I don't remember anything from that era of my life.
Well, you know what? That's what most guys will say that are divorced. You know what I'm saying? You're the one that brought it up. I didn't even know you were a multiple-time guy at the altar, my friend. God bless you.
All right, I got to tell you that Draft Dr. Phil is in the chat room, and you know that he is already challenging something that you said. Draft Dr. Phil is writing, Mike critiquing Mitch for his passion on the sideline. He's going to lose the team because he fumbled the snap. Come on, Mike. There's ball washers, realists, and analysts. Bears believers.
No, I wasn't even reported. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Right.
And you know what? Him yelling out on the field is a bad look. That's all I said.
Yeah.
And Phil likes to argue just for the sake of arguing. That's what he likes to do. for some reason. The bottom line is everything that we say now is speculation. Mm-hmm. But I got speculation with skins on the wall. I've been around Chicago for a long time, and I just know. And the same arguments I hear for this new guy or that new guy are the arguments I heard for John Theory, for Alex Brown, for everybody. We don't know who's going to make it. And believe me when I tell you this, when a second-year quarterback that's green yells out on the field, okay, and Nagy's got to grab him and tell him to calm down, the other players see that. And if they don't, then they're not paying. Then you're not paying attention. It just wasn't talked about. I want to see how he reacts tonight if he makes a mistake,
right,
or if somebody else makes a mistake. It's important. Temperament is important. It really is. And like you said, when you got skins on the wall like Tom Brady can or Dan Marino did, Dan Marino was vicious on the sidelines, even to guys like Clayton and Duper. So it's nothing new. It's just something new for a guy that's not even played 26 games in his whole career, college or pro, to be doing. And like I said, I'm sure he's hard on himself about the missed snap. But let's talk about the missed snap. The center position, Whitehair, we talked about this last week. That is still a problem. And I don't know if it's going to be Daniels. I don't know if they're going to go off the waiver wire. But there's no doubt in my mind, Cody Whitehair, the last 2 years, has been more of the problem than the solution.
Yeah, and it looks like it's James Daniels back to left guard, according to one Chicago beat reporter, and so they're going to stick with Whitehair. But Matt Nagy did say that he's not pleased, and so they're working with Whitehair, but there is confidence that he's going to correct the problem. There's just a lot of thinking going on by both the quarterback and the center because of the new offense and all of that stuff. Now, I want to switch subjects here to the defense and ask you about Leonard Floyd, because now he's suffered another injury.
What else is new?
Yeah, and so are we concerned that this guy who has shown the potential to be a double-digit sack artist in the NFL, he's shown that potential. I mean, he had, I think, 7 last year in an abbreviated season. Are we concerned that he's never going to fulfill his potential because of injuries concerns?
I like Leonard Floyd a lot. I really do. But if you can't stay healthy in the National Football League, you're not long for the National Football League. The word starts getting around. He can't play a full season. He plays. He looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, which I don't think is Leonard Floyd's thing. Leonard Floyd plays like Tarzan. The problem is Leonard Floyd doesn't swing from vine to vine every week. He's not there. So if you have linebackers or any type of defensive football players that have ultra talented like him, it's great. But if he can't get on the field, and now you got Smith who's hurt, you got him who's hurt, so already the injury bug has hit the Chicago Bears, which has been a problem for them over the past 2-3 years. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is if the fact is that they don't practice enough. I don't know that because back in the day they used to have 2-a-days. When Ditka coached them, when other people back in the day, you had 2-a-day practices. And when you go to box somebody, Aldo, let's say you got to box somebody in 5 weeks for a championship or for a boxing match, you don't spar 1 day a week. You don't spar 2 days a week. You spar almost every day. And when you practice football once a week in pads or twice a week, and they just run through it, and there's hardly any hitting at all, are injuries a surprise to anybody? You have to be conditioned, and that's why when you're a boxer, you box every day. If Muhammad Ali or any of the great boxers boxed once or twice a week in sparring sessions, they would have lost more than they would have lost more than they did. Because it's about conditioning, it's about being able to take a hit. So I think that's a concern. That's the same thing that's going to happen with Smith when he comes back. How much hitting has he done? Not much. How much running has he done? Not much. And Leonard Floyd is a concern, Aldo, no question about it.
Can this Chicago Bears team, under the tutelage of Vic Fangio and with a strong defensive backfield and with a strong interior line, the 3 down linemen appear to be excellent players, guys like Akeem Hicks and so forth, but this team without an outside pass rush, can they be successful at what they do?
Their defense is their strong suit. But if they have injuries and they can't have the players like we just talked about with Floyd and Smith and others, then it's going to be tough. That being said, I'm not worried about the defense as much as I am about the offense. I think what I'd like to see is ball control, more ball control. Mitch passing, not always in passing situations. Play action. I think that the running back situation is good right now. I think Jordan Howard's ready to go. So I'd like to see them keep the ball on the field. I mean, there was the famous fight with Kevin Gilbride and Buddy Ryan. Mm-hmm. And this was great. When he was with Houston, Gilbride had that offense with Warren Moon that scored every 2 minutes. And Buddy Ryan finally came up and slugged him, says, "You're going to kill my defense because we're scoring too fast." So I hope the Bears offensively can keep the ball on the field, move the change, and then I think that will help the defense. But if the defense is going to play 35, 36, 37 minutes, it's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. Airjer54 in our chat room asks, does Mike's opinion change if the Bears go out and throttle Kansas City on Saturday?
Look, I'm hopeful as a Bear fan. And if they go out and throttle Kansas City, that will be great. But let me ask him this. If Kansas City throttles them, what's your opinion? Mm-hmm. What's going to hit? What's everybody's opinion going to be then? I would just say it's another preseason game. The Bears have already been ultimately, I think, successful in the preseason. I think things are going to plan, according to plan, Aldo. I just think right now the main concern is more experience for the offense. We have receivers that need more experience, and definitely Trubisky. But I think I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. I'm not going to let one football game throw me unless Kansas City in 3 quarters puts up 30 points. Then there's some room for concern. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, my response to Airjer is seeing is believing. So because your opinion is based on what you've seen, right?
Absolutely. I really. I'm not the one that yelled at the players. So when people say, "Well, Mike, you're making too much of it," that was noticeable to me. I watched the game, and I think what happened is that Mitch. The thing I liked about Mitch is he showed more care in that one situation than I saw Cutler show care in 8 years. I never saw Cutler get really mad on the sideline. So as far as that goes, Mitch has got the passion. Mitch has got the gumption. I think Mitch has got the will to win. And Mitch is more into it than a guy that we paid for 8 years. Yeah. Seriously.
That's what some of the people brought up, Cutler, in the chat room, basically saying pretty much what you just said. Okay, so before we get into picks, I want to devote the next several minutes to talk about this new project. This thing just is captured the internet. There's going to be a movie on your life, Mike North.
I know.
Let's talk about this.
I know. And what's funny is that, he's a top producer. He's a top director, Adam Rifkin. He's done movies like Underdog. He's done Small Soldiers. He's done. He directed under a different name, Riff Coogan. He directed Detroit Rock City. About the story about a kid that goes to see Kiss. We've been talking about this for a while. What happened was the screenwriter was in Chicago. His name is Jeremy Morrison, and now he lives in Michigan. And yesterday he came in from Michigan, took the 2-hour drive, and we went to my neighborhood, and he met my mother. And he's starting to form. He did the synopsis on the movie, but now he's got to do an outline and a treatment. And you know about that stuff because you've done the same type of things,
absolutely.
Aldo. And he went to my high school. We went to my high school, Sen High School, yesterday. We went to the 3 different places that I lived as a kid. The apartment building on Ridge Avenue, the home on 1310 Norwood. We had another home on Rosedale, all North Side. We went to some of the bars I used to go to, so it was very interesting. And he's not ever been, a lot on the north side of Chicago, around the Devon and Clark area and stuff like that. And he was really taken with the neighborhood, and now the story's going to be developed. And I want to thank Robert Feeder. I want to thank Jason Barrett. and other people who have Bears Barroom, yourself. A lot of people have gotten the word out. We got a lot of interest happening now, and so I'm very excited about it. I know my mother didn't believe it, but then she hasn't believed anything that's happened to me since '92. As far as radio and stuff, they couldn't believe it. So I think it's going to be a good story. And you know what I want? I want to have a story like where there's like you ever turn on a movie, Aldo, and you turn it on and you keep going. Mm-hmm. You see movies all day. There's out of all the movie channels I watch 30 movie channels. I got them from Showtime to HBO to all of them. And there's maybe 6 good movies out of every 20 that you watch. Mm-hmm. But the good movies I sense is when you're flipping around and you'll see a movie and you'll go to it. There's 6 different times that you'll stop, like Hangover. There's 6, 7 different scenes that hook you in. That's what I want to have. I want a Shawshank people, like Shawshank Redemption. Whenever it's on, I go to it. That's the kind of story I want.
I totally agree with you with that movie. Any scene, any time, I tune it on, and there I am glued for however much time is left in the movie.
Well, like he said, like Adam Rifkin says, he goes, Mike, you're going to go dark in some of this too. He says, and I think that this could win an award. Whether it be a golden, I go, get out of here. He goes, but I said, awards aren't everything, because Gandhi won an Academy Award, and I've watched 2 minutes of it in my whole life. It beat out Raging Bull, which is, according to regular dudes like us and even movie critics like Ebert and Siskel, the movie of the decade in the 80s.
Right.
I'd rather have the movie of the decade than win an Academy Award that eventually nobody's going to watch. And there's plenty of Academy Award movies that, if you think back, you won't watch.
Right.
You won't watch. It's an award for the elite, I've always thought. I wanted to connect with the people that help make me the regular guy, the regular lady, the regular people.
I saw Gandhi in a movie theater. I had a really nice nap, and I've never seen it again. And Raging Bull, like you said, I've probably seen 300 or 400 times. So,
well, I saw the other one. What was the one where they ran in their underwear on the beach?
Oh,
remember the track movie?
Yeah, with the music that was popular.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's it.
I can't even remember the movie.
Johnny,
it won all sorts of awards. I went to the Northtown Theater with BB back in the day and saw it. It sucked. I can't even remember it now. I walked out of the movie, and yet it won awards. It's a joke. It will come to me by the end of the show.
Yeah, Johnny Santucci is in the chat room. He's a movie aficionado, so he'll remember.
I love Johnny Santucci.
He's Chariots of Fire. Draft Dr. Phil was the first to beat him out. Chariots of Fire is the title of that movie.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Chariots of Fire blew. It was horrid. It was the worst. And you know what? Any project that anybody gets in, anybody from our listeners to to Phil to any project you do with, you want it to be a good project, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want a bad project because you know what? They'll show the bad project too over and over again. So I got to make sure this movie is going to be halfway decent because I don't want to turn on the TV one night 5 years from now and go, oh, God, this is on again. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to start production late 2019, early 2020, but I'm going out to L.A. in 3 weeks to meet with them, and we're going to start the project up. Movies take a while. He made a movie with Burt Reynolds called The Last Movie Star. It's a great movie, and he just made it. It took them 8 years to get it done.
Wow.
8 years because Burt didn't want to do it at first, and he'd say yes, then he'd walk away, and then it was on the shelf, and then the studio hit. I mean, you hear about it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Movies on the shelf. I don't want my movie on the shelf. I want my movie out there, and I want it to be good.
Now, Draft Dr. Phil brings up a very good point. He says, by the way, he says congratulations on the movie, but he also says
Thanks, Phil.
He needs a good hot dog scene because that's where it all began. Why don't you tell our audience, for those who don't know, tell them about your hot dog empire days.
Well, what's going to happen is it's going to start from when I was picking paper and tossing garbage for the Park District. I was had just gotten out of the Army. I have no high school education. I did have a GED that I got in the Army. And it's going to show me starting out picking paper, cleaning Grant Park. That's what I used to do. I used to clean the beaches. The beaches don't get cleaned by themselves, folks. And then it's going to go to the where I'm down on myself because, I should be able to do. I know I can do better. And then my wife comes in to save the day, and she says, "Well, maybe we should open up a hot dog stand." And what's funny is BB was a nutrition major at Loyola University and an English major. Yet we had 3 hot dog stands. One which was celebrated called BB's, which made the top list for Rolling Stone magazine, for the USA Today, and then it's going to center on the people from the hot dog stand. Me hitting my customers for sponsorship, so I could buy time at a station called WSBC. That's how I got started. Before podcasts like this, you had to go rent time. Back in 1990, I rented an hour of time at a small station. I listed it in the Sun-Times. It was called the NFL Handicap Show. I spent $200 an hour. They gave me a producer. I didn't like him, so I got a new producer that I handpicked, and I paid him $100 for the show. And it helped catapult me because the producers are as important as anybody else. And Tom Couch, I know he's out there. It was great. And the hot dog stand was there for – we were in the hot dog business for 16 years, but that stand's the one that started everything because then the people from WXRT came in. I got to know them, and then I got to know the owner, Danny Lee. And Danny Lee then, on my recommendation, because he was going to start a station – that was country or cool country or jazz, I begged him for a week to do a sports station. 2 months later, it's announced in Rob Feeder that there's going to be a sports station. I was going to do weekends. I ended up getting a major slot, and the rest is history. It's
an amazing story. I mean, this doesn't happen.
It's the classic rags to riches story. And Jeremy said to me, well, it's a story sort of like Invincible. The Vince Papale story. I don't know people that remember Vince Papale, who I know. He played about a Sandlot player that tries out for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's a great movie with Mark Wahlberg. He played 3 years in the league. And then it's a story like Rocky, where Chuck Wepner, it's really about Chuck Wepner, who Sylvester Stallone has since, and this, said, I sort of ripped the story off for Chuck Wepner.
Chuck's
and
not
it
happy
talks about Rocky. But see, the deal I always say to people is, wait a minute. And I told even Jeremy this. I go, Invincible, he played 3 years and was a special teams player. Rocky, he loses, the fight as a journeyman. I said to him, I was number one in the business for 20 years. So it's a whole different ballgame. I was number one in the sports radio business for a long time, and that's different, and it's more true than the other 2 movies.
Absolutely. Now, I got to tell you, I want to play a little game with you. Let's cast.
I love games.
Yeah, let's cast this movie, all right? I want to begin by throwing some names at you for the role of BB, okay? Because every great movies like this, they have to have the great love story, right? Like in.
Well, what's funny is I showed pictures of BB in her 20s and 30s to Jeremy yesterday. Because we went to my mother's house and she had scrapbooks. And I showed him pictures. He goes, she's stunning.
Yes.
I go,
she still is today.
I don't know, to be honest with you, who we're going to get to play her. She had hair down to here below her rear end. She had the Crystal Gale hair back in the day. And she was just stunning. I mean, she was the most gorgeous girl in the neighborhood. And everybody told me, all my friends go, you got no shot with her. And that just pissed me off more. And it worked out. But who do you have? I'd be anxious to see.
All right, I'm going to start at the top, okay? Kate Beckinsale.
Not bad.
Right?
Not bad.
I mean...
Not bad at all. Anne Hathaway's been bandied about.
Oh, that's a good one, too. That's a good one.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway's been bandied about. But remember, BB and I at the hot dog stand were in our 30s. And then 40s and 50s. 30s, 40s, and then I started in the business at 42. So it would be somebody that would range from the 30 to 45-year-old bracket.
Okay, so how about Jennifer Love Hewitt?
No. I think, well, maybe. Yeah, I love Jennifer Love Hewitt. from back in the day. I don't know how much she's done. Has she disappeared? You could get her, I bet you, for. And here's another thing: when you're making a movie, if you want stars, you got to try to budget yourself.
Oh yeah.
And she's a star that wouldn't command a big salary.
Yeah, exactly. She's got name recognition. I haven't seen her in anything recently, but she's got the acting chops. She could pull it off. She's
and guys like her still. I mean, when you bring up her, she has a famous name. She still does.
Yep. All right, I got another one for you. This one is controversial. Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise's ex.
Phoebe's better looking than her.
Oh, without a doubt.
Katie Holmes could play hide and seek behind a straw. Plus, that whole thing was weird. She married. You know what? I look. If Katie Holmes wants to do the movie, you don't say no. I mean, I watched The Devil Loves Prada the other night, and I'm not the biggest Anne Hathaway fan, but I'm going, wow, she's not bad. You know what I mean? But that's not bad.
Yeah.
I really don't have anybody for BB yet. We have ideas about me. And a couple other things, but we're going to look hard for her because she's going to be the main crux of the story. She's the one that gives me, when everybody's doubting me, she's the only one that doesn't. Right. And it shows her trying to handle my emotions, trying to get me right, trying to get me off the bottle. I mean, it's not going to be all pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be a true story. Anybody who knows me knows that on the air I always tell the truth, whether you agree with me or not. I've never had to remember what I said about something because, you know what, I usually am consistent. Some guys go back and forth, and they end up forgetting what their stand was to begin with. I never got into that.
I got to tell you, my first movie teacher when I was in high school, a guy by the name of John West, this guy knew everything about the movies. And he told me the keys to a successful movie are three things. Number one, you need either action or comedy throughout the movie. And I think in your case, you're probably going to have both, right? Because
we're going to have action, comedy, and it's going to be good, bad, and ugly. It's going to be the things that you need to make a successful movie. If you're going to look at people know me, my life's an open book. I mean, this guy read Robert Feder, for instance, read all the scrapbooks. I have 5 scrapbooks at home filled with newspaper columns about me and the score and other guys. And he can't believe some of the stuff that was said about me. There's a top 10, for instance, of people, of top 10 influencers in the 90s written by Robert Feder. And Robert Feder is a good guy. He's helped my career at times. He's been a pain in my neck, but Robert and I have been friends for years, but he writes straight up. And he had Oprah Winfrey as one of the top influencers of the 90s, classy lady, very good at what she does, blah, blah, blah. Then he did Bill Curtis, a fantastic anchor man, one of the best in the business. This is the 90s. And then for me, he's got me ranked 9th, which I thought was really should have been up higher because Oprah Winfrey went to work at ABC. They were already there. The score wasn't there.
Right.
The score wasn't there yet. So, and we were a daytime-only station. But he calls me an ignorant, a loudmouth, and obnoxious. So, in other words, he lists me. But the only guy that took a kick in the you-know-what is me, even though begrudgingly he's putting me in the top 10. I always thought that was a little bit mean-spirited until I found out, wait a minute, I'm top 10.
That's right.
But that's how it was. I mean, you know what? If you were outside the norm, like now, if you're outside the norm, you know this, you're always going to take some hits. And Feder is going to be featured in this. His articles are going to be featured in this. You know, how they look back in time and stuff like that. So it's going to be good.
Yep. Now, getting back to my list from that, my school teacher told me that. So the first thing is action comedy. The second thing is a great love interest, and that's certainly going to be in your movie. And by the way, Bears Girl is in the chat room, and she says that if you need to cast somebody for BB, that you're more than welcome to look north of the border where she lives.
Of course. Well, you know what? We're going to need extras and everything else. I will tell you this: the one lady that I love, that I think would have been great for B, but it's too late, was Marissa Tomei.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I wanted Marissa Tomei 10 years ago, 20 years ago. She, my cousin Vinny.
Oh, my goodness. Great scene.
It's been, time has passed.
Yeah.
But she would have been perfect for B back in my cousin Vinny days.
Yeah. Well, before I get to my suggestions for the actor, if you could cast the role for yourself with any actor in history, in history? You know, we were do the time machine thing. Who would it be?
Well, I only got one guy right now that I'm going after, and I'm going to let everybody know it. And the word's out that I'm Edward Norton.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for him to play me.
Edward Norton would be
He's 49
awesome.
years old. BB told me the other day he may be 49, but he looks like he's 40, 41. That's when I broke in. And then I talked to Jeremy Morrison about Edward Norton, and I love him and Primal Fear. I love all his work.
Oh, he's a phenomenal actor, yeah.
Yeah, but Jeremy says to me, well, you know, he's tough on the set. He's a perfectionist. He can be abrasive.
Yes,
he's got a sense of humor. He shows up, but if he gets pissed, he'll shut down. This is what he told me. You know, he's got that reputation of being a little bit difficult. I go, he's perfect.
Yes, exactly.
He's perfect. So I just think he's the guy that I'm banking on. But after that, then you take a lot of unknown actors. If you saw the movie American Made, right? Have you seen it yet?
I don't recall. I don't think
it's with Tom Cruise.
Oh, no. Yes, I did see that. That's where he plays the pilot, right?
Right.
Yes, excellent movie, I thought.
It's an excellent movie. There's about 10 different spots I stop in. I didn't see it at the movies. But here's the key. Tom Cruise cost him a ton.
Right.
There's nobody else you know in that movie.
That's correct.
In other words, his wife, nice-looking lady, don't know her.
That's right.
Everybody else are low-end as far as salary actors, so you don't blow your wad on just actors, you know what I mean, and actresses, because there are budgets in these movies. So I saw that movie, and I said, that's maybe a way they go, too. Maybe Edward Norton or somebody else is the star, and then there's other people that you don't know as well that make their bones. Don't forget, The Godfather with Marlon Brando, nobody knew the other people.
That's right.
Nobody
knew Al Pacino at the time.
There was not one person. When I saw The Godfather, I didn't know who James Caan was. I didn't know who Al Pacino was. I didn't know who Diane Keaton was. They all made their bones off that movie. So it's not a bad thing. And I'm not, believe me, comparing myself or our movie to one of the great movies of all time. What I'm saying is that young actors have to start somewhere.
Right.
And I think in movies like this where they want to keep budgets low, and by the way, he's never shot in Chicago, and he's from the Chicago Academy of Arts, Adam. He wants to do this film in Chicago. But then again, you got to be careful with the Teamsters, the money that's spent on the tax situation here in Illinois.
Right.
So hopefully we'll be able to do it here.
Yeah, sometimes they move the shooting to a place like Vancouver up in Canada because it's much cheaper to shoot a movie. So maybe
they shoot it in Vancouver. They'll go to Bear Grylls Turf, Toronto. Right. They'll go to maybe another city, in the United States that looks somewhat like the neighborhood you grew up in. So there's a lot of things. I'm going out there in 2-3 weeks. I'm excited to go out to Hollywood to sit down with Adam and Jeremy to start formulating what we're going to be doing. All
right, before we get to my suggestions on who should we cast, I got to share this with you. Draft Dr. Phil just brought up a really good name, Evangeline Lilly. She was one of the stars in the TV series Lost, and she just came out with a theatrical movie just recently.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I think that's a really good choice. A really good choice.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, what they have is they have a list. They'll make a list of people that they're interested in. After, of course, the screenplay's done, the screenplay, the treatment, and everything else. And then you start getting into the production end of it, where you're going to shoot it, who's going to be in it, what locations. I'm looking forward to it because, I love movies, and I've loved movies since I was a kid. And to actually think that there's going to be a movie. Now, there's some wise guys out there, and there's some haters out there. One guy says, "You think you'll beat Kevin Spacey's $126?" that Kevin Spacey made a movie, Billionaires Club. It only made $126. I go, if I have to have my family would carry me over the top on that one. My God, I'll bring all my Italian relatives. That will make over $126.
Absolutely.
But you want to have a successful movie.
Absolutely, without a doubt. All right, so here's my countdown. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the name. I'm going to then play like a 30-second audio clip and then have you comment on my suggestion. So at number 3, I've got a guy, and now all these guys are A-listers. These guys are box office names. They're going to give you an opening day that could pay for the entire budget of the movie. It's just negotiating a deal and making sure that this is the right guy. Now, the first guy that I got is a guy who is famous for playing the role of Captain America. His name is Chris Evans, and this is Chris in a video that was done as sort of a screen test where the producer was just talking to him, and so you're going to get a sense of his real personality here.
And then around 2001, I got my first movie, another critically acclaimed Oscar darling called Not Another Teen Movie. It's very highbrow stuff. I had a banana in my butt. It's what you train for. In the beginning, everything is a plus. Everything's a positive. So in no way do you think, well, should I do this? It's just, banana's going to go on my butt. And it's going to be a silly day on set. It's going to be funny, and we're going to laugh. But you don't think twice about really anything at that stage. You're just really happy to be there, even if you got to put fruit in your pooper.
He's out. He's too handsome, too.
I don't think so. I don't think
so. Well, Edward
so.
Norton, slight-framed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was. And and he's got brown hair, and I'm just comparing it with them. But Chris Evans, of course, look at he's known as Captain. I mean, look at that's the Justice League, all that other stuff. Those are huge movies. I mean, I suggested the girl that played Wonder Woman for B. I don't know what it is.
Gal Gadot, yeah. Oh my.
Yeah,
goodness,
I suggested her. So. It's fun. This is the fun part about making a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Bantering back and forth. Okay, Chris Evans, the pooper thing, I understand. It would be hard for me to even do that, even if I was given an opportunity to be in a movie.
All right, number 2 on my list. And now, again, this guy is an A-lister and a very good-looking guy, but he's got the comedic chops to do what you have done on the radio, and I think he'd need to branch a little bit more into the dramatic stuff, but my choice is Justin Timberlake, and this is a clip of him hosting the ESPN ESPY Awards, and we'll get a sense of his sense of humor here.
We're at the beautiful Nokia Theater. Isn't it beautiful in here tonight? I see beautiful people. Downtown Los Angeles, right across the street from the Staples Center. In fact, I heard that this whole theater was built using Shaquille O'Neal's bricks. Whoa. Is Shaq here tonight? He's not. Whew, okay. That could have gotten ugly.
What do you think about Justin Timberlake?
I love him. That's a great suggestion, and I will suggest that, too. If we could get Justin Timberlake. He's got the right frame, got the sense of humor. He's out there. He's not afraid. I think he's a good actor. I really do. I think he doesn't take himself seriously. I think that is a fantastic suggestion. Believe me, Aldo, that's a good suggestion. We didn't even think about him, but he's good.
All right, here's another one that I doubt that you thought of, and I think it's a bit of a stretch, but the more and more I thought about it, I think it could really work. This guy is, he opens movies at, $50 million a week, and just based on his name. Now, he's not known for the dramatic stuff I think that this particular movie will need, but I think he's got the range to pull it off, and it is Will Ferrell, and this is Will Ferrell as Harry Carey, because you do a great Harry Carey impersonation, and this is Will Ferrell on the David Letterman show a few days before Letterman is retiring, and Will Ferrell as Harry Carey keeps referring to Dave as Ed Sullivan because, of course, they recorded that show at the Ed Sullivan Theater. Here's a clip.
Hi, Harry. Hi. You know what? Ed? It's great to be here. When is Topo Gigio coming out?
Well, Topo Gigio is not coming out because I'm not Ed.
Hey, isn't it true you're retiring, Ed?
Yes. Yes, half of that is right, Harry.
That's a good call.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I could tell you were losing a little mustard off the heater.
Uh-huh.
Hey! And the 2-0 pitch is in there to Dunston.
Uh-huh.
Strike on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I got to go now. I'm getting dinner at Patsy's with Frank Crosetti and Phil Rizzuto. Hit me with a little organ, Paul.
What
do you think?
I like Will Ferrell a lot, and what we got to remember is it's not just about the physical appearance. So, in other words,
right.
I want a guy like Edward Norton because he's built like I am back in the day. He's got the brown hair. He's got the look. He's got the surliness. He's got the comedic. I think he could be funny. But just like I mentioned that other movie, American Made, with Tom Cruise, I'm going to give everybody a little lesson here. The real guy that the story's taken after was 320 pounds. Didn't look anything like Tom Cruise. He was a fat guy who basically they just spruced up the role for Tom Cruise to get it. Looks nothing like him. If you look up the actual guy that Tom Cruise plays, he's got 3 chins. That's all I'm going to tell you. And he doesn't look anything like it. So I get where you're coming from. If you get somebody that doesn't really look like you, but he's a bankable star and he's good at what he does, I think it could happen. But my deal is it's a bio, and a lot of people know what I look like, especially in the Chicago area. So if I come on with Will Ferrell, I think people are going to say, it's sort of like John Goodman playing Babe Ruth. He looked nothing like him.
Yeah.
He just got fat. Right. William Bendix playing Babe Ruth.
Right.
My guy was Joe Don Baker to play Babe Ruth back in the day, and he did end up playing a Babe Ruth type character in The Natural.
That's right.
I still think it's important that the person looks somewhat like him, but it's not essential.
All right. Well, we got a couple more suggestions. Fill in with Rob Patterson, the guy from the Twilight movies. Janny Santucci says Jake Johnson, who is a Chicago guy. Now, I don't know Jake Johnson, but we'll look him up, and maybe if he's got the chops to do it, maybe he'll be in on an audition. All right. It is time to shift gears. Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal. Johnny Santucci brought a great name. I was actually considering him. He was on my top 5 list. Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, this guy is super handsome and stuff, but...
That's what I was going to say. Why don't we just go with Hugh Jackman and forget about everything? You know what I mean? Make it so unrealistic. Maybe seriously. By the way, before we go on, can I just say that we're very proud to have a sponsor for today's show?
Oh.
How about that?
Who is
Did you know this?
I did not.
Prop Swap. It's a marketplace to buy and sell active sports bets. And bettors who place wagers at legal sports books can list their bet for sale at a price they determine, and then they're going to find you a buyer. For example, Aldo, last NFL season, if you bought a $100 ticket on the Jacksonville Jaguars, right, to go to the Super Bowl, okay, they'll pay you. These people paid that person to give up that ticket for $1,000. So he made 10 times the money from the $100 bet.
Wow.
The only thing he has to worry about then is if Jacksonville went all the way to the Super Bowl and won it.
Right.
Then he'd be regretting it. But they didn't. So he made 10 times the money by going to Prop Swap. No longer do teams need to win. Their odds just need to improve. It's a new way to make money. You can go to ProSwap.com or download the app, available on both Apple and Android. Javi Baez, to win the MVP, his sale price of $1,150 to collect $6,100. Those are odds of higher than you would think. So just go to PropSwap.com. PropSwap, a marketplace to buy and sell active proposition bets that you have. Let's say you take the Cubs to win over 95 games, and you want to get rid of it by August, and they'll give you a higher price than what you paid. You just got to hope it doesn't hit over 95 games, because then you'll lose the actual bet. But sometimes it doesn't look like too good for you, and you'd rather cash in and make a little bit of money.
PropSwap.com. I am downloading the app as we speak.
PropSwap is the place to go.
It is the place to go, and I can't wait to see it pop up on my apps and play around with it a little bit. So thank you, PropSwap.com, for promoting the Mike North Advantage. Let's get to your picks. Mike, what do you got this week?
All right, pal. And this is going to be. There's 2 games going on this week that I like. Now, I went 3-3. I'm 3-3. I mean, I didn't take the Bears last week, and they came back. But there's money to be made on preseason football. 3-3. It's like kissing your sister. The game I have for tonight, I like the Denver Broncos on a Friday night, getting 3 against the Washington Redskins. The Redskins playing at home. It's on ABC, so check that out. It is the Denver Broncos plus the 3. And then I have a total. Now, for people that don't know what totals are, it's the combined score between the 2 teams. They set a line or a number that you have to beat. And I have the over in the New York Jets game tonight. And I know Phil, he's an East Coast guy. He's hearing this. The Jets are playing the Giants. The over and under right now, as I look at the spread, is 41. I'm going to take the over in that game. I know there's a lot of Sam Darnold hype and stuff like that. You got Eli, you got the Giants. When you think of those 2 teams, though, you don't think of a ton of points being scored. I like the over in that game tomorrow night. And then for the Chicago Bears, a game that I really don't want to pick because it's tomorrow. Things can change or whatever. But I'd be remiss if we don't take it. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs getting to only because Mahomes and the starters are going to play 3 quarters, while the Bears starters, including Mitch, may only play 2. So I'm taking Kansas City Chiefs getting points in that ball game, getting 2.
All right, so the Chiefs are getting 2, and you're picking the Chiefs because they're going to start the game with a 2-0 lead. All right, Mike North.
And by the way, Aldo, when you don't say suggestions. I called my bookie the other night. It was so funny. Here are Mike's suggestions. I called my bookie the other day. I go, I have a suggestion for a game I'd like to bet. He goes, no, just make the pick. You know what I mean? But I know what you're trying to do. You don't want me to fall on my face. You were trying to protect me. But believe me, I've fallen on my face many times. I can take it.
Very good.
Believe me.
Very good. All right, Mike, you got a final thought before I play our closing theme music?
Yeah, I'd like to say that, you know what, tonight, it's not or tomorrow night for the Bears, it's not a matter of winning or losing the game. What we want to see in the first half is Mitch Trubisky go like 10 for 16, 11 for 15, 100 and some yards, throw a touchdown, I see where Baker Mayfield had an average game last night. There's other players that are breaking in that are hot. Sam Darnold didn't have as good a game, so the league's starting to catch up with them. Mitch has got a year under his belt. I want to see a huge jump tonight on the Bear offense, or tomorrow night on the Bear offense.
Awesome stuff, Mike North. I can't believe
I love it. We talked about everything.
We did. And every Friday you stop by the bar room. You have you're drinking like a lemonade while I'm drinking beer. And we talk about sports. We talk about your new movie. We talk about betting. This is a ton of fun. Thank you very much, Mike North. You are the man.
And thanks again to Prop Swap for jumping in with us on the Bear Bar Room and, of course, the Mike North Advantage.
Very good. Make sure you listen to Bears Hour Live next Monday night, and we're going to have a post-game show after the Kansas City Chiefs right here on Mix LR. So stay with us here at Bears Bar Room, the only place where you get in-depth Chicago Bears coverage and a lot of laughs. Take care now.
So long, everybody.